Recorded Books presents Dating and Dismemberment by A.L. Brody. Narrated by Eva Kaminsky. Dating and Dismemberment is meant to entertain and make you laugh, while maybe even giving you a case of the feels. With that being said, please review the list of possibly questionable content below to ensure your reading enjoyment. Be wary of bad things happening to people named Kyle. Decapitation, but in a fun way. Long-distance hurtling of irritating camp counselors into large bodies of water. Drinking water of highly questionable purity. Overbearing mothers. Absent fathers. Monsters dealing with repressed trauma due to aforementioned overbearing mothers and absent fathers. The wielding of deadly weapons that are both attached and unattached to their wielder. Summer camp bullies. Bad decisions. Being single and not knowing what you want to do with your life, while all your friends seem to have their shit together. But at least monsters don't have to deal with gender reveal videos on social media. Banter, with risk of death. Dismemberment. I mean, you read the title of the book, presumably. You have to know you're getting at least a little of that. If you may be triggered by anything on this list, or if your name is Kyle, please proceed with caution. Chapter 1. Darla Drake, a.k.a. the Duchess of Death, a.k.a. the creature of Clear Creek, and one of the most feared monsters on the planet, stood over her soon-to-be victim, a cruel camp counselor named Kyle Browning, and prepared to turn him into either a Lego set or paste, depending on what kind of mood she was in. Darla raised her weapon of choice, the infamous bronze scourge that had been passed down to her from her mother, and right as she was about to render justice unto this unfortunate soul, Darla stopped. She stood there, arm raised, scourge rattling in the wind, as Kyle covered his eyes as though playing a baby game where if he couldn't see her, she didn't exist. But Darla did exist. And yet, her hand stayed. Come on, she thought. This is not the time to have an existential crisis. This crisis came at a particularly inopportune and frankly embarrassing moment for Darla. Kyle was not walking away from his injuries, which, to be fair, were largely self-inflicted, having tripped on a tree root while attempting to flee, which bent his ankle in a way that defied human anatomy, his toes now able to touch his shin, and his dignity evaporating somewhere into the night sky. And while Kyle moaned, his girlfriend, a counselor named Melanie Wootens, having apparently followed them, screamed as she saw the Duchess of Death preparing to fillet her lousy lover. Melanie turned and ran away, screaming like her hair was on fire. Or, far more traumatizing, been subjected to a terrible dye job. And Darla just watched. And shrugged. Instead of ending Kyle's suffering and sentencing Melanie to a lifetime of therapy, Darla stood there, unmoving, staring blankly at Kyle. For the first time in her 32 years, the last 20 of which she'd spent hunting the very worst counselors at Camp Clear Creek, Darla couldn't finish the job. One word pinged through her skull, topped with its infamous bone crown that had terrified thousands of teens and sold millions of Halloween costumes. Why? Darla had never asked herself that question during a hunt. Hunts were simple. Find the prey. Scout the prey. Know the prey. Then turn their lives, if not their body cavities, inside out. Up until this moment, Darla's hunt of Kyle Browning had gone rather swimmingly. Kyle, along with two other counselors named Randy Horvath and Lewis Cawthorne, had been given the moniker of the Terrible Trio, based on how they would gang up on and terrorize young campers at Clear Creek. Randy and Kyle had returned this summer, while Lewis had been fired. Darla had made it her mission this summer to hunt down Randy and Kyle and let them know they wouldn't escape with a mere slap on the wrist.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?